Okay, so this seems to work. Let's see. So I have not done a live stream in a very long time. Let me see, does this receive input? Okay, so it does. So all good, folks. So let me um, create a frame here with my dot files. This is an Emacs frame. Let me also use a more enlarged font. Hopefully you can see the text here. And let me make the cursor a box so that it is easier for you to discern it. So hello everyone, my name is Protesilaos, also known as Prot. I just had this idea of doing a live stream today since it is raining outside and I don't have work right now. So I was like, okay, why not? It has been a long time since the last time I did a live stream. So why not start with that? Hello to everyone in the chat. I will check the chat a bit later and reply to all the comments there. What I wanted to do, what I realized, so this is my Herbstluft WM working environment, my custom desktop session, and I enlarged the gaps for the purposes of this presentation so that it is easier for you to spot the various windows. One point of note here is that the YouTube chat window is always dark and I don't know how to change it to a light theme. So this is extra annoying, but I will tolerate it for now. Probably you can use some external application for that, but I really know next to nothing about live streaming. Anyhow, so what I want to do, I have these gaps here, but I notice that the border that I am using, so look at this. So here you can discern the gap. You can discern the border rather. It's a thin blue border. Maybe you cannot actually discern it, but if I move the cursor, you can see that it appears. You see it? So because I have the cursor to focus on the current frame where it is on. But if I increase the borders like this, the gaps like this, then it is a bit more difficult for you to see the border. So what I want to do is I want to write a small shell script that increases the borders on demand. I just type a key and I enlarge or contract the borders. Let me first show you the script I have. So Herbstluft and then gaps. So here I have a small shell script to adjust the gaps incrementally. The idea is that this script accepts an argument, a numeric argument, which is the number that it should increase the gaps by. And the way this works is that it cycles from the maximum value back to the minimum value if you are going in a given direction, and then the opposite. So if I contract the gaps incrementally, so I contract by 5 and then 5, and then I keep contracting. When I reach the minimum point and I contract again, it goes to the maximum that I have specified. And it goes like that. Same in the opposite direction, you see? So it goes back to the minimum. So like this. And this is a very, very simple script. So what I want to do is to basically copy this idea and apply it to the border around the frame. And we will see how we can go about doing this. So I just want to copy this and borders. I will name it borders. So we have, let's see, frame. So it's technically not frame. In Herbstluft, they are called clients. So client borders of Herbstluft WM. Let's see, then we have frame gap. So we have this. Oh, sorry. So we have this. So let's call this frame border. Frame border. So we do that. I think the number 30 is probably too much for borders. So let's make it 15. But this is experimental, so I will have to see what the ideal value is. So this already looks promising, but now I need to remind myself how to actually get the border, because I remember in Herbstluft it is called somewhat differently. So I have to go to my auto-start file, so I have a bookmark for that, and the border, yeah, so this is always 0, the frame border width. So theme, okay, so it's attribute theme border width number 3. So let's actually see this. So let's spawn a shell here. So herbst client is the command. Herbst client is the command, and attribute width, this returns the current number, and if I give it an argument, let's say 10, it adjusts to that. So this is great. This is wonderful. So let's go back to, oh, where are we? Let's go back to my script. So what we want here is attribute and then theme and border width. So this will return the current border width. So this is looking nice. And then set, so attribute and like that, not frame border, so theme border width, so like this. Okay, this looks correct. This looks good. So let me see. So I need to be in the, so let me copy this and let's do bash and this, and let's give it the number 10. Okay, so it works. And if I give it another 10, it goes back to 0. Okay, this looks promising. So this looks correct, folks. The script looks correct. What I want to do now is to go to my parent directory of the dot files and stow to my home directory the Herbstluft code, so that it will add the script that I just wrote. It will add it to my local bin over here. So this is very good. And the next thing I want to do is go to my SXH KD and find where I have the gaps. Okay, so this is very good. And let's add mod 4 and shift and like that, adjust the borders. Okay, I will add to actually document this. So I will do that later, no worries. But let me refresh the key bindings and see what we have here. Okay, so this is good. I think like this you can see the border now. So yeah, this should be fine. So let's keep the border like this. So hello everyone in the chat. Hello Andrew, Andrew the Tropin, who does live streams on Emacs, Geeks Unrelated. You can open your stream as usual and chat here with, so you can open your stream as usual. What does that mean as usual? You mean from YouTube, like not from YouTube Studio? So I guess that's what you mean. Okay, so I will have to check how to do that maybe next time. What I did now, folks, maybe I was doing it very quickly, so maybe I can explain what I was doing. One thing to note is that I am not actually using any completion system right now. And the reason for that, normally I use vertical when I am doing things locally. But I have learned that I can accidentally expose private information when I am using vertical, because it will eagerly display all the candidates. So, you know, sometimes it will be a mini buffer history, sometimes it will be some command that I don't want to show, a contact that I don't want to expose, that sort of thing. So I have now defaulted to not using a completion framework when I am doing a session that is live, such as this one, or when I am doing a coaching session like that. So I am not using a completion framework. And what I was doing to navigate around, so you saw how I was quickly going from my dot files to the Herbstluft autostart file, then to the sxhkd directory. The way I was doing it is because I am using the Emacs bookmarking facility. This is very simple to use. You are in a file or in a buffer and you do bookmark set. Let me write it here. Bookmark dash set. By default, this is bound to Control X R and the letter M. Control X R M. And you do bookmark set and it will record the bookmark of the current file or directory. And then you will do Control X R B or bookmark jump. And you do that and it uses completion to go to where you need to go. For example, let's see here. So here I am in this path and let's say I want to go to my website's source code where I have the HTML version of my modus themes manual. So I do that. So it goes here and let's see where this is. You see where it is in the file system. So you can quickly jump to that point or to any point. Bookmarks also work with SSH, so you can bookmark a remote that you have visited with Trump, and then it will establish a Trump connection right away. But the performance of Trump, from what I used recently, is not very good, at least in my experience. So maybe there are techniques to improve that, but out of the box, it was not something that I enjoyed using. But anyway, the functionality is there. So as I said, I will check the chat again, folks. I just wanted to do this with the border, and then I have a few tasks. So you can see here. Granted, maybe it's a small text, but I don't know if you can actually read it. Maybe I can bring it here. So the idea is that I have a few small tasks that I want to accomplish. This is just a spontaneous stream, so I didn't really have anything to talk about, but I thought that since I have some time, I could do this just as well. So to do some minor maintenance work on some of my Emacs packages, and I will show you this in action. So Andrew says, just open your YouTube channel and find the stream there. So you will see it later. Okay, so I will have to try that. I don't know if it will work now though, so I will have to try it next time. So I don't know when the next stream will be. Hopefully not in 2 years, but we will see. So let's go to my modus themes now, and I want to have that. I also need, by the way, to make sure that Corfu is not running in the mode line, in the mini buffer, when I am using this specific setup. One thing to note here is that Herbstluft allows you to have a tabbed layout for specific frames. You can see here that I have like one tab on this side and another one on the other side. You can see it like this, and I can easily switch between them. So this is very handy because I can keep all my frames appearing in the same portion of the physical screen layout here. So what I want to do is to go to the modus-themes-items, and I want to create an alias of this. So the modus-themes-items is simply a variable that contains the names, the symbols of the themes that belong to the modus family. But items is a bit cryptic and may be hard to remember. So I want to create the def var alias, of the new alias and the base variable. So I want this to be modus themes collection, and the base variable, should it be, I don't remember, should it be a symbol or just the variable? For symbol base variable. Okay, so I want to create the modus themes items. By default, when you are writing an alias, it will inherit the documentation string of what it is aliasing. This is good because you get the documentation right away. The downside is that you have duplicate documentation, so it's not clear right away which is the alias and which is the aliased. So I want to use this instead. I want to specify the docstring and say alias of modus themes items, just like this. So I am missing a quote. Let me evaluate. So do you have to have a quote here as well? Okay, so it has to be like this. Why is it throwing an error here? So let's see. Should be declared before its referent. Huh. So you have to declare the alias before. What's the idea with that? Like that? Okay, strange. So you have to do that, but let me see now. Did this work? So okay, this is exactly what I wanted. So I want modus themes collection to be an alias of modus themes item, and to say just alias of modus themes items. Of course, you can see here that Emacs will automatically tell you that something is an alias. So, but I still prefer to have the documentation like that, and I will explain why. So symbols of the modus themes. You see, it says now the default docstring, and below it says that this is an alias. But when you are using a completion framework, so let's have it here. Now I am not using it, or maybe I can have a vertigo just for this, vertigo mode. So I enable a vertigo. So when you are using modus themes, oh, I need to also have marginalia mode. So let's have that. So modus themes items, let's have it like this. So items and collection, will this work? A regular expression. So maybe I can enlarge this so that you see. So when you are in this scenario, you get to see a duplication of the first line of the documentation string. So here you don't know that this is which is the alias. So it's a bit confusing like this. And this is especially confusing when you are using Emacs. So what I want to do in this scenario is just have the alias like this. So let's see now. So you can see now, I think this is more easy to understand from the outset that one is the canonical and the other is the alias. So there is that. So this is very nice. So I have this, all good. Let me disable the two modes I enabled. So let's move now to my F themes. They are called F, by the way, not EF. It's F because it's from a Greek word, the Greek suffix. But let's not worry about that right now. Let's go here. And I want to do the same here. So here I have it collection. So collection. So I want to do the inverse here. So I want this to be like this. So, and this is a collection. So let me see. So it has to be before, like that. So this looks correct as well. So this should do it, but let's evaluate here this file just to be sure. So let me see what this says. So alias of F themes collection, and if I follow this, okay, so this is very good. So I have that. And now what I want to do is to go back to the modus themes and go to the manual. Do I have anywhere here modus themes items? Okay. Use the palette of that item, else use the current modus themes. So as part of development version, the modus themes items has an alias called modus themes collection. So this is very good. I will come and commit the changes just a second, but I probably want to do the inverse here. Come on. I want to do the collection here, so we have that themes collection. Okay, so let's do it here as well. Since that is long, let's have it like this. And we have the modus themes here. They are, oh no, it doesn't work in org mode. Maybe this will work. I want to transpose those two words. Okay, that works. Very good. So let's have like this. And one thing that I need to always have correct is the alignment. So when they are like that, and this looks good, folks. So now I will commit the changes. I come to the modus themes here. In the modus themes, I have, because the modus themes are also on Melpa, I have to generate the info manual. So in this case, I am exporting the org file to the info manual, and then I will commit the changes. So let me make sure that this is the only change I had. Okay, so this is good. Add modus themes collection alias of modus themes items. So this is good, and we can send this to the origin. And so I am pushing the changes, and I also want to send this to the GitLab mirror. So this is very, very good. That's done. And the last thing I want to do is to take the HTML version of this and add it to my website here as well. Modus themes like this. So off that goes. So let's go to the F themes and do the same. Because the F themes are not a part of Melpa and they are only available in the GNU ELPA archive, they don't need to have an info manual generated manually, because the GNU ELPA machinery takes care of that. So all I need to do is to synchronize, but let me make sure that I don't have another edit anywhere else. Oh, here, that is an error actually, that should stay there. Okay, so this is good. Let me make sure that I don't have any other changes. Okay, let's say add F themes items as an alias of F themes collection. So this is good. Let's also add this to the origin and then to the GitLab mirror. I want to find a way to, push once and have it synced and have it sent to all the mirrors, but I will have to figure that out at some point. I didn't find an elegant way to do it, so I won't bother with it. It's not a real problem anyway. So F themes, and off we go. So this is done, folks. Let me take a quick break and check with you in the chat. So what we have. So yes, what window manager I am using, it is indeed Herbstluft WM. Herbst Luft WM. It is written here by Anush as well. You can see it, but maybe I can go to the F scratch here we have. So I can go to that and you can see it here how it is. This is one of the two window managers that I use. The other one is BSPWM. Let me show you. Actually, I have my dot files open, so I could just show you. So here we have, so BSPWM is the one. I have been using BSPWM, I believe, since 2018 or thereabouts. It's very stable, it works, it is excellent. The thing with BSPWM is that it has an automatic tiling scheme. So you spawn new windows and it will automatically adjust the proportions of the existing windows in order to fit the new window into a tile. This is very good when you are using a small monitor. The laptop I used to have, the X220, Lenovo X220. When you are using a small monitor, it is better to just have an automatic tiling scheme. It works more easily. But when you have a large monitor and you want to have a specific layout, it is better to use a manual approach to tiling rather than the automatic approach. BSPWM can also have manual layouts. You can have the pre-selection as well as the receptacles, but generally it is more cumbersome to do it. Whereas Herbst WM is designed from the ground up to be a manual tiling window manager that also implements the same idea as BSPWM, namely the binary space partitioning scheme. What Herbst does then is that everything you do here has to be done manually. For example, if I want to have a new container to have windows here, so you see, this is a new container that will receive windows, or what is known in Herbst terminology as clients. So I can spawn a new Emacs window over here. This is a shell buffer. And then I can, if I want, let's open an X term just for the sake of this demo. So you see I have an X term as well, and I have it tabbed like this. Let's spawn a few more X terms just to see. So I have the tabs just like this. So this is very helpful. You can move the client wherever you want. So regardless of which frame it is, you can move it to that frame. No problem, no stress. And so that's basically it. The idea is that with Herbst, you have this manual tiling, which allows you to be very precise with the placement of your windows. But there is another very, very valuable advantage, which is the ability of Herbst to delineate portions of the monitor and treat them as virtual monitors. So normally when you have to have, when you want to have a multi-monitor setup, you will connect two monitors and then you will make arrangements with, okay, let's not go into the technicalities, but you will make arrangements to show different desktops on different monitors. In Herbst, you can do this with one monitor. You just specify the dimensions and say, you know what, from pixel 0 to pixel, I don't know, 600, this is monitor 1, and from 600 to the end, it's monitor 2. So this way you have in one physical monitor, two virtual monitors, so you can have workspaces on the one virtual monitor and then more workspaces on the other virtual monitor. And this is actually what I am doing here, where because I have a wide screen, it is, maybe I can go to xrender and it will tell me what I need to know. So you see, so my monitor's dimensions are these. So because it's a wide monitor, I don't want to waste space. I can have like a sidebar on the left here, which is virtual monitor 1, and then place some windows there, and then virtual monitor 2 has the size of a regular 1080p display, so I can place what I am actually working on here. The upside of this, apart from maximizing the screen layout, is that if you do a full screen, so if I do a full screen here, I only have it limited to the virtual monitor. So it is not interfering with the other virtual monitor. It is bound to this monitor as if it were a physical monitor, which is quite exquisite. It's like a killer feature, a killer app of Herbstluft WM. Probably you can do that without Herbstluft, but I don't know how to do it. I haven't figured that out. So having Herbstluft handle that task is very, very nice. Okay, so I did this. Let's see a bit more of the chat. So what we have here, and then we return. So Andrew told me how to do the light theme, but I am not sure right now, so I don't want to try it and break something and then mess around with that. So next time, before the live stream, I will do it. When will that time be? Nobody knows, so we will see. So hello to everyone. Hello, hello. Let's see what we have. General Emacs. Yeah, of course. I don't know if you can read this, by the way, so maybe I can enlarge it a bit more. So let's see what Bernard says here. I've always been curious to see how you use your Emacs config to do general work rather than demonstrating a particular package. Yeah, that's indeed an interesting thing to consider. Note here already that I am actually using many of my packages. For example, the line highlight here is done by my lin package. The fact that when I am spawning a new, let's do it. So I will spawn a new project, and this will create a new frame like this, a new Emacs frame. So it goes, you see, I have it, let's put it here. So you see, I created a new Emacs frame that does not interfere with these frames. So let's put it back. So this is my bframe project. It is always running there, my bframe package for Emacs. What you see here in the mode line is my not much indicator, which shows me some of the saved searches I have for my email, so I can see what is going on there. And there are other things, I'm not sure now. Oh, what I was doing with the commits earlier, it is part of an experimental package that I have called agitate. So it's actually, let's have it here. So agitate. So actually this is pronounced agitate, so like with a J, but this is a play on agit. So I call it agitate. And agitate is basically a set of extensions on top of the built-in version control system of Emacs. I use both VC and mygit. But when it's a simple task, I use VC. When it's something that requires a more involved interaction with Git, I use mygit. Both are great for what they do, and I really enjoy working this way. And there probably are other packages that I'm using now without realizing it. Yes, of course, the fonts. Normally, I am using this font. So this is one preset. It's defining the height of the fonts, but also the specific families. And when I am doing a presentation such as this one, I will switch to another preset. Here, the fonts are slab serif, because I think it's okay for a larger font to be like this. So this is my Fontaine package. The cursors, I changed earlier the cursor. Normally I use something like this, the underscore, so that I don't actually see it. This is the ability to switch between presets is done by my cursory package. So already you can see that many of the packages I demonstrate are here. And then it's just general Emacs utilities. This is the directory editor of Emacs, dired, or some people call it dred or dired, or whatever you want to call it. So this is just dired, and then the bookmarking facility I already covered. So yeah, otherwise it's a standard Emacs. What I was doing with the project, it's project.el. As I said, normally I use a completion framework, Vertigo normally, but I also have another package that I am maintaining called MCT. So there is that as well, and probably others that I am forgetting right now. Of course, one of my themes, the modus themes, modus operandi. So yeah, you get the idea, but maybe you can see my workflow as we go. Robert asks, noob question. I am working on Mac and Emacs doesn't allow me to input the hash symbol. Any ideas? Thanks. I have no idea why that would be. So Mac does not allow the hash symbol anywhere or just inside of Emacs. How does this work? Because if it's anywhere, that's probably not a good design. That's probably something is broken there. But if it's just inside of Emacs, that would be curious. Otherwise, maybe this would work. So if you were to do Control X8 and return key to insert a Unicode, so I'm not sure, is it called a hash? Not a hash. Is it called a column? Not. Is it called a pound? So good luck finding how it's called. Pound sign. So let's see. No, that's the pound sterling. That's a curious problem. Maybe Control Q, and of course, what would be the benefit of that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Robert, what is happening there. So we would need to investigate it. But it's an interesting problem indeed. So yes, here is Andrew's advice for the theme. Yeah, the window manager, I covered that. So hello to Anush, hello to everyone. Bonjour, Alain. So hello to everyone. What a nice morning surprise. Hi Prot, hi everyone. Amu asks or mentions, can we force Dyard to reuse the same buffer when we traverse many directories? The answer for that is yes, but with an asterisk, because it depends on your version of Emacs. There is a variable called the dred, I forget actually how it's called. Maybe if I go to let's see, do I have it? There is for sure, but I don't remember it. So what we can do in this case, we can find it. Let's go to find library. Let's do it like this, and then Dyard. So we are, you see here, we are in dyard.el. So what I want to do is run occur, and I want to search for def custom. So this way I am searching for all the user options inside of this file. Of course, you can get all the user options from the custom user interface, which I think is a very bad interface, but whatever. So let's see what we have. Personally, I prefer to have many Dyard buffers instead of one. Clean up buffers too. No, it's not that. Deleted buffers, clean up buffers too. Let me see, I remember. Kill when open, here it is. So this is the user option I was referring to for Emacs 28. It says if non-nil, kill the current buffer when selecting a new directory. So when you are moving between directories, you just have one Dyard and you don't have many of them accumulated in your buffer list. Personally, I prefer to have many of them because if I have it open, maybe I want to visit it again. And because I am using completion, it rarely, if ever, is a problem of actually finding where I need to go, because I prefer to actually type out the destination. So as you have noticed here, as you have already noticed, I am not really visually interacting with the mini buffer. I don't really enjoy having a long list and having to read everything because that is very slow. What I normally do is I type something, and when I see the candidates, I prefer to type again rather than use the arrow keys or something. Except for demo purposes. When I am doing a demo, I will show what is there, and I will be more slow and just use things interactively. But otherwise, I am perfectly fine with this setup, like no pop-ups, no previews, no nothing, and just use the completion styles like orderless to get out of order pattern matching and that sort of thing, which is very nice. Let me put this in the chat. So if you are on Emacs version 28, you can check this and take it for a spin. So there is that. The same by default. Let me see, where are we? That adds the white padding. Svante here asks, what is adding the white padding? So I believe you are referring to the padding inside of the Emacs frame, right? So you are not referring to the borders that I have added. You are referring to this padding. I will cover that in this video actually. So I could actually do it right now. So we will do now the padding. And then Ken Run the Panda says, didn't pressing A in diode buffers behave the same as the same by default? So I think you are right. So A does exactly what you say. But the downside of that is that you have to remember an extra key binding. So A will visit file or directory on current line. This kills the diode buffer, then visit the current line's file or directory. So you are right, A will do that. But then again, you need to remember to type A instead of the return key. So it's really up to how you want to go about it. As I said, personally, I don't have a problem accumulating diode buffers. It doesn't really matter. So let's go to the borders, the padding, as you said. So let's go and see my early init over here. Let's disable FlyMake because it has all those false positives. So here we have it, folks, and I actually want to document this in the manual of the modus themes. So we will do that right now. So in Emacs, we have two variables called default frame alist and the initial frame alist over here. The initial frame alist, or rather, let me take a step back. Each of those defines parameters for Emacs frames. And we can learn about all the available parameters in the Emacs Lisp reference manual. We can go to the info pages with Control-HI. When we are in the main info page, we can type the letter M to use minibuffer completion and then search for elisp. I type return. When we are here, we will type M again to search for frame parameters. And we will go there, and this is the manual that describes all the frame parameters, and you can go and read this on your own and see what you have. Access to parameters, initial parameters, and you will learn about the basic parameters, position parameters, size, layout, buffer, blah, blah, blah. So you can learn about all this. I won't bother you with the technicalities, but I will actually show you something. When you are in an Emacs info manual page, in an info node, let me see, are we in the correct one? So we want to be in the parameters. So we want to be here. So when you are in an info node, you can type, you can pass a numeric argument of 0 and then W to copy let's see in a scratch buffer. Let me kill this. So I am killing this. And then in the scratch buffer, I want to paste this in. So you can copy this. And if you evaluate this, it will take you directly to the given entry in the manual, which is very helpful. So I will also add this to the chat, just like that. So you can check the documentation yourself. So let's go to the early init and see what we have over here. I want to have control over the initial frame, which is what you get when you start Emacs, and then define parameters for every frame thereafter, which is the default frame alist. This is what the default frame alist. It is called default because you can always create a frame on demand and give it an arbitrary list of parameters. So the default frame alist only comes into effect for those parameters that you are not explicitly overriding or defining. So in what I am doing here in my early init is I am defining the parameters that I want at all times. These are not relevant for a tiling window manager, but I have it like this. So the default width should be, when Emacs starts or when you create a new frame, should be these dimensions, width and height in pixels. So 1200 pixels by 900 in height. And then we come to the part that is for the padding, what is you are saying. So the padding is those two. The internal border width is what adds the padding around the frame, and the right divider width is what adds padding between the windows. This is something I have been experimenting with. I don't know if I actually like it, but I have been using it. I always test ideas in real world scenario. I don't want to have an in vitro test of something where I am focused on it. I want to do it in vivo where I am doing something else and I am not focused on it, and then see if it works. So this is what I am doing here. I defined this in my early init and I am using it for a while to determine if I like the padding or not. I think I don't like it. I think it is good for screenshots. It is good when you are working with maximum 2 windows like this or something and with a small font size. But when you need to have more windows like this, it's already not looking as nice in my opinion. This mini buffer seems that it is holding on to nothing. It feels wrong to me. It doesn't feel right. But yeah, no worries. So the idea is that you set the internal border width to a number here. So this is a number of pixels. And then you also set the divider width, the right divider width between the windows to another number. And this will give you the frames that you want. So let's do it like this now. So let me set it to 60. So let's set it to 60. And let's create a new Emacs frame and see if this works. So you can see how big the padding is now, and also the padding between windows like that. So it's just for demo purposes to see how that works. So I will document this, but I want it to be 20. I prefer 20 until I eventually remove it. Oh, so now I have, okay, I have to set the, I have to remove it because I'm doing add to list. But anyway, let's persevere with this one. No problem. So the first thing is that you set the dividers, so the internal border and the right divider width to the value that you want. And then you will arrange for some faces to be invisible. So I will explain what this does here. Here we are finding the value of the default background. So if I evaluate this, it returns the color value. This is pure white. So we are storing this value, the return value of this. We are storing it in a local, in a lexically bound variable. And then we are using this variable for all the faces here that we are setting. So the fringe has to have a background that is the same as the default background, and in this case a foreground that is the same, and so on for the others here. So we never get to see borders, we never get to see indicators and such. And then if you are using, I think this is Emacs 28 or 29, I don't remember. Oh, this is for Emacs 29, okay. So if you are using Emacs 29, you can use the hook enable theme functions, and this will work for all themes. Otherwise, you will have to use modus-themes post load hook, and f-themes has the same. So I will document this in the manual of the modus themes right now. So let's go to the modus themes. Let's see where we have the manual, and let's see where I could put it. Advanced customization seems like a good place to put it. Let's put it after this, so that's fine. Use more spacious padding in Emacs frames. So let's have this over here, and then we can explain what we are doing here. So by default, Emacs frames do not other Emacs frames try to maximize the number of characters that fit in the current visible portion of the buffer. Users may prefer to have some extra padding instead. This can make Emacs frames look more pleasant, but also make it easier to identify the currently active window. The way to implement such padding is twofold. And one is the user must, or actually we don't need the user. Let's have it directly, imperative. Instruct Emacs to use a higher value for the internal border width of all frames, as well as for the right window, where is it? Right divider width. The former concerns the outer boundaries of Emacs frames, while the latter pertains to dividers between Emacs windows. So we have that, and the other approach is to make the relevant faces invisible by changing their attributes to changing the value of their relevant attributes to that of the current theme's main background. So there is that. Let me add space like that. Let me see. Emacs, the parameters of Emacs frames are specified in the variables initial frame alist and the default frame alist. The initial frame refers to the first frame that appears upon startup, upon Emacs startup. I think it's on Emacs startup, not upon. On Emacs startup. The default refers to the fallback values that apply to all other frames that Emacs creates. Unless those are explicitly overridden. How do we write overridden? Yeah, like that. Are explicitly overridden by a bespoke make frame. I think it's make frame. By a bespoke make frame call. So let's see. In detail. First, we use the same values for the two frame A list variables. So we have those like this. I want to have an end SRC here. So like this, and then I want to have a begin SRC here. So let's see. First, we have to do this. What the do list does is to call add to list for the two variables we specify there. This economizes on typing. Oh, one thing to consider is that because the manual of the modus themes is built into Emacs and the modus themes, I have to use American English, which for me is not natural. I prefer British English, and the reason for that is, for example, you see economizes, you have to have it with a Z, but many words like, for example, likewise, even though it sounds like a Z, you have to have it with an S. So I think American English is more confusing than less confusing. It's less intuitive to me. But anyway, so, and I always get, patches like change this to American English or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's the sort of pedantry that really is not doing anything. What the do list does is to call add to list for the two variables we specify there. This economizes on the typing. Then we define a function that sets the relevant that makes the relevant faces invisible. So let's see. Let me see if I can do. Let me see. Let me change this a little bit. To that end, no, actually, the reason we do this with a function is so we can hook it to the post-load phase of a theme. thus applying the new background value. Otherwise, you keep the old background, which likely means that the faces will no longer be invisible. So like that. So let's have this here. So let's see, make window dividers. Oh, what did I do? Make window dividers invisible. Add this to the modus themes post load hook. And what I want to do here is find the hook. Not that. Do we have? I forget where I have it. Advanced customization. Let's go to the advanced customization. Let's see, hook. Where is the first time I call the hook? I don't have a specific entry about the hook. Okay. So this is what? This is, which section is this? Add padding to the mode. No. Let me see. So this is use themes colors in code with modus themes with colors. Okay, no, I don't want this. Okay, so let's not have anything. And let's go here. I don't need to add a link actually. So let's, and here we want to change modus themes post load hook. The above will work only for themes that belong to the modus family. Or actually not only. For users of Emacs version 29 or higher, there exists a theme agnostic hook that takes a function with one argument, that of the theme, and calls it in the post enable phase of theme loading. So here is the above snippet with the necessary tweaks. We can have users of older versions of Emacs can read the entry herein about defining their own theme agnostic hook, and that I have. Let's see, agnostic, here it is. So we want that. Let's add the link. So here it is. So very well. Do I need something else here? I believe this will do it. So there is that. So yes, I think this is good. If there is any British English here, I will be notified about it from the Emacs maintainers. So there is, of course. So let's search for eyes with an S. So let's go, let's narrow to this and let's do eyes. So we have only two, maximize and otherwise. The former has to be with a Z because reasons. and the latter has to be with an S. So let's have it like this. No problem, no stress. So we have that. I think I wanted to do something else here, but I cannot recall. So let me widen. I want to add a custom ID here. So this is good. So let's produce the info manual. And let's go ahead and commit this. So let's just see. So we have just that. Very well. So let's have this. Document how to add padding to Emacs frames and windows. Okay, let's commit, push to the origin, and then also push to the mirror. So this is very good. Off it goes. Let's go to modus.org and let's produce the HTML output that has to go on my website like that. And let's do modus themes and push that as well. So off it goes. So that was very good. Let's check again with the chat and then we continue. Igor is asking, how do you get this nicely looking source block marking on the left side? I believe you are referring to this. This is part of the org modern package. So mx org modern mode. So you see, this is the default. And when you enable it, it does it like this. Org modern does a few other things as well. Which modernizes, as it were, the org presentation in various ways. I will add a link here to the project. This is a project by Daniel Mendler, also known as Minad. Basically, Daniel Mendler is like, when you read the name, it's like a seal of quality. So if you see Minad on GitHub, you know it's a good package and you just install it. And then you figure out if you need it. This is how you go about it. So there is that. Do I want to do anything else here? I don't remember. So let's bring this here. So we did these. We did this. Oh, okay. So we have this little snippet here, and we want to take a look at this. So let's put that back there. Let me go, actually, since this is about the F themes, let me be in the scratch buffer of the F themes. So what I want to do now is, because this is about the F themes, I need to go to my code that I have here in order to evaluate, to actually load the F themes. What happened? Unable to find F autumn. How is that? This always works, except for now. So, come on. Oh. What is happening? So, let's see. So the F themes is part of my load path. And so if I do this, it fails. Unable to find F theme. Ah, interesting. Okay, I'm not sure what is happening. So I will restart Emacs. I wanted to do it anyway because I messed up with the padding earlier. So no problem, no stress. Let's have Emacs start like that. And let me check the chat in the meantime. How do you get the lines to wrap before the end of the page? Jean-Jacques asks. I'm not sure I follow you. the lines to wrap. Maybe you can explain what I was doing, and then I can check it out from there. So please tell me more about that, and I am happy to answer that question. So let's go to let's go to the F themes like that. Let's have it here, and let's go to prot F themes, evaluate. Okay, now it works very well. So let's load the latest theme in the collection, F Casio. It is one of the 2 themes that are in development, and there will be available as a part of the next stable release of the themes. So you mean in org mode? Let me go. I think the last thing I was doing in org mode. Oh, so you know what? Let's remove that. The last thing I was doing in org mode was about, let's see. So it was about the padding, right? So come on. Frames. So it was about the padding, and so I am not sure what the question is. So maybe you mean like this, what I have here, the lines like this, so that they don't become like long lines like that. Is that what you mean? If that is what you mean, it's yes, when you were writing outside of the code snippets. Yes, exactly. So this is called the Emacs autofill mode. So by default, the autofill mode is disabled. So you are writing, and it will keep writing and writing until the end of the universe, basically. So that is not very convenient, because then you have to do something visual line mode, which still is too long of a line, and it is really awkward to work with. You don't really need to use long lines, because when you are using Markdown or org mode, it will automatically understand these line breaks as part of a contiguous portion of text. So it understands that this is actually a paragraph. So you don't need to make paragraphs one enormous line. You can just do the autofill mode, and that will work. Visual line mode also works. I have visual line mode bound to a key. When I visit a file that is actually like this, I enable visual line mode, but it's inconvenient. I don't like it. I prefer autofill mode, so stuff to look like this. And I will show you how I do that. Let's go to my files. So I believe I have this in right. Let's see. Autofill. Okay, so I don't even remember. It's been so long. I have been using autofill since forever. In languages. Okay. So this is all you need if you are interested in having it work out of the box. Let's see, and I can send this here, so if you need that, and I think personally this is the better approach. I don't know if I cannot actually add it because it's exceeding the character count, so maybe I can do it in 2 steps. Okay, this is not looking nice, but maybe you can copy it and just put them all in their own line. I'm sorry about that. If this was an Emacs window, I could use a macro, a keyboard macro, but now it's not, and I am too lazy to copy them one by one, so please bear with me. Yeah, so there is that. If you want to manually, let's see here, so suppose you have a paragraph like this, and you want to manually fill it, so what autofill does automatically, you want to do it manually, you just type meta q, and that will do it for you, which I think is very nice as well. So there is that. Let's go to the F themes, but let me see, because there is something that caught my eye in the chat. Let me see. So Jean-Jacques was referring to this, so there isn't something else about this. And then Bartosz says, "Hi Prot, mind to display some keycaster to see your keystrokes?" Oh yeah, sure. I completely forgot about it. Maybe you can see it now, the keycast thing here. But note that I also have my custom key bindings, so I don't know how useful this will be in practice. But we will see. Let's hope for the best. Because now I am not doing a demo, I am not mindful of explaining everything, you know. So I am basically using Emacs the way I would use it normally, with the exception that I have disabled the completion framework for reasons that I explained earlier. So anyway, let's go to the next problem over here. And let's see what we have here, because this is an interesting problem. It's intriguing. So let's evaluate these and see what happens. So this is something I received in an email, and it was like, you know what, if I evaluate this, it works. So since we are here, this is the scratch buffer of Emacs, and it is using the Lisp interaction mode. I have seen certain configurations where they make the scratch buffer use fundamental mode. And this is very unfortunate. Why have something as useful as the scratch buffer reduced to a generic buffer which is now completely useless? Lisp interaction mode is a very good way to practice Emacs Lisp, because when you are here, of course you can write your Emacs Lisp and evaluate it the usual way, but you can also do Control J. Control J has the effect of evaluating the preceding expression and also printing its return value. You see how that works? So you get to see it right there, and you have a record of it like there, which is much better than trying to remember it or manually copy it from the messages that you receive. Anyhow, I received this email. So it is like this. It had this code inside of it. So it was like, you know what, when I evaluate this, it works. When I evaluate this, again, it works. It gives me the desired value. Granted, they were using the fduo dark theme, whereas I am using fcasio, but the effect is the same. So let's have it like this for the return value. So the effect is the same. So let's have it like this. So this works. This works. So why doesn't this work, which is putting the two together? So why doesn't this work? Let's evaluate it and see what happens. So this reports an error. And the error is telling us that fcasio palette is not a list. It wants it to be a list. Whereas what we are giving it here is a symbol. So let's try to unpack this. Let's go here and let's see why this works. So this works because this one here is not a symbol. So when we are evaluating this, we are getting, let's see, so if I have this, let's evaluate it on its own, one by one. If you evaluate this on its own, Control J, you get its return value. So you don't actually get fduo dark palette, you get the value that this symbol refers to, that this variable refers to. So when you see the three dots here, by the way, you can type return and see the complete value. We don't need to worry about that. So what this is, let's have it like this. So what this is the same as this. Let me keep it small. So this is the same as this. Imagine, of course, it's the complete list, right? So these two are the same. Okay? So this, when you are evaluating alist-get, is replaced by its return value. And the reason for that is because it is not quoted. In Emacs Lisp, when you have the quote, and in Lisp in general, when you have the quote, you are telling the reader, you know what, take this and do not evaluate it. So take it for what it is. Whereas we want to evaluate it. We want to get the value of the variable. We don't want to get the variable per se. So this is actually what we are doing here. So bringing this here, let's see now this. So what this does, let's evaluate this. So what this does, intern-soft, it returns, actually, we get the return value here as a variable, but actually it's this. Because intern, and if we read about it, intern and intern-soft, it says here in unequivocal terms, return the canonical symbol named name. So its return value is a symbol. But let's try this. Let's confirm this. So if I do symbol p of this, what will it return, true or false? So it returns true. So it is telling me, yes, the return value of this is indeed a symbol. So that's why this was failing earlier, because this will return a symbol. So this actually returns this. So if I have the alist-get, let's duplicate this. So if I have the alist-get and I have the symbol here like this, let me evaluate. So you see this fails. And the reason it fails is because F Casio palette is a symbol, whereas it has to be a list. So that's why it fails. And specifically, it would need to be an A list, but that's just yet another list. So this is why this fails. But let's try now this with like this. So this will succeed, of course. So what we need, let's come back to what we have, sorry. So the person was using this. So they sent me that. And they were saying, okay, so why doesn't this work? And I explained why it doesn't work. So to actually make this work, we need the symbol value, the value of the symbol that this returns. So for that, we have the function called symbol value. So like that. But before we actually evaluate that whole thing, let's see, symbol value of that is the same as, let's see it, this is the same as, maybe I can have it like this, F Casio palette. So these two are the same. Okay. So let me make this one long line. So if you do this, it gives you all of that. So let's have it like this. So it gives you all of that, and the same here. So you see how it works, folks. Come on. So you see how it works. So this is exactly what we need to do here, and we fix the problem that way. So this will now return the cursor entry in the A list that this symbol represents. So this is the idea. So let's compare it. So this is what I got originally. So they gave me this. What they needed actually was this. So you can take a look at it. It's not an obvious error. It's not an obvious error because when you are evaluating this, you get that not quoted. So you think that since it is not quoted, it will be passed without the quote to alist-get. But actually it is a symbol and it is just printed that way. Otherwise it would print its value right away. So this is the reason for it. So there is that. I believe I covered this now. There is one final point I had to cover I wanted to mention, and that is about so maybe I don't want to share my email here, so just let me do it outside the visible portion. So just a second, folks. Let me find that email that I was interested in, and also let's put this actually back here. So we want to have this here. Let's keep it there. And so now I have an email. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. So we have, let me see. Okay, so let's see if I can bring it here. So these are just, so what happened? So how did I enable, sorry, 1 second. Let me reload my key binding. So here is an email. So let me open it. So this is the email. And what we want is this to just go there. And we have this here. And let's keep that like that. So here we are. So this is my email, not much inside of Emacs, and this is about the denote package, one of my packages for Emacs. And here we have Peter writing to the mailing list, and because I am a member of the mailing list, I get to read this as well. So Peter is talking about a technical problem that we have, a technical issue that we have. I don't need to go into the technicalities of it, but the gist of it is that denote is supposed to use unique identities for files that it creates. However, when you have a denote file that is in org mode, and you export it to, for example, PDF, that file will have the same name as the org file, and the only thing that will be different is the extension. So here we have a duplication of the ID. This is not actually a bug in denote. This is what org mode does, which indirectly breaks denote. So we need to see how we should go about it to circumvent that problem, or anyhow to make it work. So Peter suggests something here, proposes a possible solution that involves completing read. Now, completing read is basically what you use when you use completion. The problem is here, or rather the assumption is here, that we will be using this function interactively. And so we will get the chance to use the mini buffer. But this is not actually what this function is about in the denote code base. The idea is that it should return the identifier of the file, or rather the path to the file specified by the given identifier, and it should not be interactive. For interactive use, we should have a command. We should have a function that has the interactive declaration, the interactive specification, so that our code is semantically correct. So I want to reply to Peter. Hello, Peter. I am in favor of a user option in this case. It seems we cannot have a solution that just works. So we need an option that informs users about the specifics of the case. I would still prefer if org had that option to the effect that exported files do not reuse the file of the original, the file name of the original file. They could have a prefix, perhaps subject to a function that return. They could have a prefix or a complete name that is subject to a function that returns a string. But the org source code is not easy to work with, so I am not volunteering for such a task. Seriously, folks, the org source code leaves much to be desired. It is completely inscrutable. You have to spend a very long time to understand what each thing does. And the reason for that is because you have a lot of hard coding. You have functions that run in the hundreds, literally hundreds of lines. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why we want to marvel in complexity. I think we should have small functions that just do one thing, and then we reuse those functions and everybody is happy. Anyhow, let's see this solution. Let me links to PDFs, video, and other files with denote identifiers. So let's see. Good idea. However, this assumes that the function will involve interactive usage, which is not a given. The addition of interactivity redefines the behavior of the function. As such, it is better to think of an approach that is complementary to what we already have, rather than a direct substitute of it. There is a more, but it works quite well. Yes, I think the code is fine as is. Perhaps the completing read part could be its own function so that it can be tested individually. But otherwise, I am okay with this direction. And then all the best. So there is this. So let's send this, and then I will just move this out of sight so we don't need to see it again. And what we have here, folks, so I think I am done for today. I have covered everything I wanted to cover. So as I said, this was just a spontaneous live stream. I didn't have anything planned. It wasn't something that I would schedule ahead of time, like a week ahead, and give you a forewarning, and then you could plan accordingly. So this is just something I had, I decided in the morning because I had free time. I didn't have any coaching sessions on Emacs or related themes. So I was like, okay, why not? Let's do something like that. I enjoy doing live streams. The thing is that because my schedule is never fixed, I cannot commit to a specific program, a specific agenda, and so I basically never do them. I think the last live stream was more than a year ago, maybe longer, so there is that. Okay, I will check the chat, see if there is anything else here. Otherwise, I will close this. Let's have it like this. So yes, here we are. So all good. I think there is nothing else. I think this was it. And I believe I didn't miss anything. So hello again to everyone. Let's see. Let's quickly see if I didn't miss anything. Robert is just Emacs problem. Robert asked something earlier, I remember. About the hash, the symbol here. I really don't know. I really don't know. It's just an Emacs problem. I really don't know what is going on there. If you do Control HK and input the hash, does it give you this? Does it tell you that this is a self-insert command? Because otherwise there may be that you rebound that key to some other command, so that's why you get it that way. Otherwise I really don't know what is happening. Let's see. So yes, so I remember everything else I covered, so this is all good. So you are welcome, Yorgi, and thank you very much everyone for your attention, for your time here. The stream, the live stream will be recorded, and you can watch it later. So I will have it on my website as well, where I made the announcement. It's there, embedded there. So that's all for today, folks. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care and goodbye. I am closing.